Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video we are traveling, as we always do, virtually, to a place called Misery. I think some people call it Missouri, though. There's a guy at the center of this story, and his name is Kylr Yust. I mean, I know it's Kylr Yust, but spelling kind makes me dislike him already. But there will be no shortage on that in this one, so I guess I should cut him some slack. Kylr was the if I can't, then no one can kind of guy. He didn't want other people to have nice things or nice people. And funnily enough, it'll end up that way for Kylr. So let's give it a go. It is the mighty year of 2007 that we're heading off to location Belton. In Belton, like in many places, there was, and probably still is, a Popeyes. But at this particular one in 2007, 17-year-old Kara Kopetsky worked there. Cara was the daughter of Mike and Rhonda. She had a half-brother, 8-year-old Thomas, and was described as a firecracker, which is a great way to describe someone. She was pretty cool, smoked cigarettes, cooked class, much like myself, pops collar, but she was generally described as, just a lovely, fun person. However, she knew someone who was just, none of those things. Cara broke up with Kylr Yust, 1 year older than her, in April 2007, after being together, on again, off again, for roughly 9 months. Cara had enough. And I mean, I don't blame her. Kylr Yust, he was a lot of things. He played in a death metal band called Seraphim. Unfortunately, I don't have any clips to show you. Fortunately for you, because they were pretty good at taking, the late noughties band photos, though. And Kylr wasn't best pleased about being dumped by Kara Kopetsky. As Cara was leaving her job at Popeyes on the evening of the 28th of April 2007, Kylr forced her into his car. He then drove around town with a big old knife in his hand, saying he was going to slit her mother effing throat, sorry about the language, until after a while he finally calmed down and let her out of the car. Cara then, understandably, went to the police to report this nutjob. She went straight away that Saturday, and 2 days later, on the 30th, Cara and her mother Rhonda, as Cara, was underage, filed for an order of protection against Kylr Charles Yust. He, couldn't have any contact with her at all. How well do you think that went? It was 4 days later, the 4th of May, that Cara was seen on security cameras at Belton High School. Now, she was seen leaving the school, and that was odd because this was shortly after 9 a.m. that morning. And after that, she disappeared. She never showed up for her job at Popeyes that evening, nor home. And her mother reported her missing after 5 p.m. on May the 4th. Now, at the time, it was like, did she run away? Was she just with friends? Friends maybe that her family didn't know of, but friends that her friends obviously didn't know of. Nobody knew, She had a paycheck she should have picked up on the 9th of May. No dice. So what did investigators do after that? Well, you can guess. You can even bet that they sure as shit wanted to talk with Kylr Yust. What'd he say? Okay, sure, he had broken the order of protection. On the 3rd of May, he spoke with her, he saw her that afternoon, and then spoke with her on the phone that evening. Teenagers, well. He would later say that when he spoke with her the day before, they had argued, and that she told him she had a friend coming to town, a friend she was planning on hanging with. He didn't see her, however, the following day, which was the 4th of May, the day she disappeared. He said that, that day, at around 11 a.m., she tried calling him, he missed it, and when he tried to call back, he got no answer. Now this was untrue, or at least to an extent, because when the police checked the phone records, the times were wrong. The calls Kylr claims, happened at 11 actually happened 2 hours earlier, shortly after 9 a.m., the same time this happened.
The cops have said you've been very cooperative.
I have been, because I don't know anything about where she is or about what happened. I wish I did.
Did you threaten to slit her throat?
No. Didn't.
What happened?
That didn't happen that night. That was before. They said that I was a suspect because of prior happenings, not because of anything that would point to me having anything to do with her disappearing now.
The search continued. On the 1st of June, the police searched her locker at high school, which, seems, maybe they should have searched that a bit earlier. There they found her debit card, but no activity on her bank account, regardless. And so it stayed for a few years. Which is kind of amazing, because over the next 4 years, 3 separate people would contact the police, telling the police that Kylr confessed to them that he killed Cara. Fucking 3 times, incredible. And he would do it again. Here, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Better slow my roll. In April 2010, so 3 years later, a bandmate of Kylr's, another rock star from Seraphim, contacted the police and told them that a year earlier, in 2009, Kylr told him he killed Cara. That fella, Nick Yates was his name, he said that, he was crashing with Kylr for a bit and, well, one night they stayed up drinking and Kylr just told him that he killed Cara because she wouldn't love him anymore. He strangled her because he didn't want anyone else to have her. And this wasn't the only person Kylr told us to. About 9 months later, another person contacted the police. This is in January 2011, saying that Kylr knew exactly what happened to Cara because he did it. This was a woman named Caitlin Farris, and she was dating Kylr at the time. He told her a little bit more than he told his bandmate Nick Yates. He told Caitlin he watched her last breath, and how he put her body in the woods. The FBI then got in on this and wired up Caitlin. Now this part is weird. A hidden camera was placed in Caitlin's car, and an audio recorder also, hoping to catch Kylr's confession. So this day, early 2011, Caitlin and Kylr drove around Kansas City, and then drove to where Kylr said Kara Kopetsky's body was. The gobshite. They even brought a homemade Ouija board.
Oh my god. Just felt her hand on my shoulder and I heard she didn't say anything, it was just her voice. She just or something. She just said, just made a noise and it was her voice. I promise I will come back and see you, Cara. Because I killed her and left her out in the wilderness alone.
What?
For her spirit just roam the forest. This really turns you on that I killed a girl, huh?
It doesn't really turn me on.
Yeah, well, you're saying all that bullshit there.
I know.
Just because you're trying to get me to confess.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He really thinks that he is, hot shit.
Reports of a confession and a witness who says he was ignored by Belton police.
Serious missteps on this investigation.
I just don't know what Belton thinks that they're doing.
It would be 6 months later that another witness would contact the police, and this would actually lead to Kylr's arrest. Just not for,
These police reports led to today's guilty plea for choking and striking a new girlfriend. In them, the victim's mother told police Yust drew a pentagram on the girlfriend's forehead and warned her he'd seen bodies hidden in barrels of acid or where pigs would devour the dead.
In August 2011, Candice Matthews had been dating Kylr. She had been in an on-again, off-again relationship with him. She was pregnant, and she told the police Kylr had tried to kill her by strangling her to death. Exactly like previous witnesses said he did to Cara. Not just once, by the way. She said he was insanely jealous and boasted of murdering previous girlfriends and that he would do the same to her. He also murdered her kittens in front of her by drowning and smashing. He should be drowned and smashed. Kylr was arrested and pled guilty. And none of this was lost on the family of Cara or the community.
You pled guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what happened in the Kara Kopetsky case?
I didn't know there was a case.
The judge specifically said don't kill any more cats. The allegation was that you killed cats. Is that true?
There would actually be a total of 7 different people who told the police that Kylr told them, confessed that he strangled Kara Kopetsky to death. Wonder how they cracked this case. In November 2011, Kylr was arrested yet again, this time for stealing tattoo supplies from a tattoo parlor where Kylr had apprenticed. The previous charges, the assault, animal abuse, and theft, wouldn't really go anywhere. Because, let me tell you, in February 2012, Kylr was arrested for drugs trafficking, and for that he was sentenced to 4 years. The search for Cara continued.
I mean, if we can have her back alive, I mean, I would consider that to be a miracle.
Kylr would be questioned in prison. Well, questioned, but wouldn't answer. Kylr was released from prison in February 2016. And then another woman would go missing. On the 8th of September 2016, a party was held in Grandview, Missouri, once again really just on the outskirts of Kansas City, near Belton. At that party was 21-year-old Jessica Runions. Also at this party was Kylr Yust. Kylr was a childhood friend of Jessica's fella, and Jessica and Kylr were last seen leaving the party together that night. The next day, the 9th of September, Jessica was supposed to meet her mother for a doctor's appointment, and she never showed. A missing person report was then filed and the police investigation began. And they determined that Jessica and Kylr were seen leaving together at about 11 PM in Jessica's car, which was a black 2012 Chevy Equinox. Neither them nor the car were seen again. Not only that, people who were there, witnesses, said that at the party Kylr was down in booze left and right. He was getting pissed, and he was also getting pissed off at basically everybody at the party. He was acting like super aggressive and shit. Also super possessive towards Jessica, who had a fella. On September 10th, so the early morning after she was reported missing, at 1:40 AM, there was a fire, and the Kansas City Fire Department were on the scene. It was Jessica's black Chevy Equinox. Burnt to shite. That same day, hours after Jessica's burning car was found, someone else contacted the police. This guy was named Jessup Carter. He was Kylr's half-brother. And once again, we have another witness to Kylr. He told the police he was there when he saw Kylr set fire to Jessica's car. And he also told the police that Kylr had told him he had strangled Jessica and dumped her body in the woods. He said that during the car setting on fire business, Kylr, dumb dildo, had burned himself, so Jessup took him to his place to heal. And that's when Jessup contacted the police. The next day, the police rocked up to Jessup's mobile home and took Kylr in for knowingly burning Jessica's car. He was arrested, but there was still no sign of Jessica, and Kylr was not talking.
Kylr, where's Jessica?
I have no idea, sir.
What happened to your face? Did you get burned?
What happened to your face?
Did you kill Jessica?
Did you?
Got him. If he wasn't so busy, killing people. Stand-up career for you, my friend.
Jessica, maybe we can talk to you, kind of just anything about Kylr. Why you did, in fact, call the police and tell them where he was. Like a lot of people in Kansas City are at least crediting you for getting him caught for the allegations of what he faces. Do you have anything to say to those folks, to the family of Cara or Jessica?
We just want Cara and Jessica, we want those families to have some justice served. And if he's found to be guilty, we want them to be we just want them to feel better and that he's finally put away.
It was just a matter of time before, because Kylr isn't going to change.
Jessica Runions has been missing for 6 months.
It was 7 months later, in April 2017, that a mushroom hunter out on the fields of rural Cass County, Missouri, found remains. He contacted the police, and the very next day, a second set of remains were found, older than the first. They were identified as Jessica Runions and Kara Kopetsky. They had been dumped right next to each other.
Breaking news at 6 o'clock. Law enforcement sources confirming to 41 Action News human remains found in Cass County belong to missing woman Kara Kopetsky. Kopetsky was last seen back in 2007. 2 sets of human remains were discovered in a Cass County field back in April. 1 set already identified as another missing woman, Jessica Runions.
2 families that have been waiting for years for some sort of resolution, some answers.
Behind bars, the man linked to 2 women who disappeared nearly a decade apart, now charged with both of their murders.
Kylr Yust was charged with 2 counts of murder on October 5th, 2017. You know, he'd only been happily yapping away at it, for more than a decade. Who could have known?
Cases like this, sometimes you wait because you hope that time is your friend and that case might get better. If you're too quick on the trigger and you file charges and you can't make that, and that person gets acquitted, what good have you done?
According to court documents, over the years since Cara went missing in 2007, Yust confessed to at least 6 people that he had choked Cara to death and dumped her body in the woods. Those people told police. So that raises the question, why didn't police charge Yust with murder sooner?
That's a judgment call. It's always going to come down to, is that person that's saying they heard this, is that person credible?
Now, Jessup Carter, who was, the witness to Kylr setting Jessica's car on fire, and also allegedly Kylr told him he killed Jessica Runions, he would be, an important witness, obviously, as you can imagine, in the upcoming trial for Kylr. Upcoming would never come for Jessup. Jessup was in jail on charges of fleeing a traffic stop, by the way, from the day before Kylr was arrested, so on the 10th of September. What happened was that the morning after Kylr set the car on fire, something Jessup witnessed, basically Jessup and Kylr were driving around. Jessup was driving erratically. He was pulled over, and Jessup just legged it from the scene. This was before, Jessup called the police saying what he had seen Kylr do. So Kylr was in the car just there, and apparently Kylr pissed his pants at the side of a cop. Again, probably because he had just set fire to a car and killed Jessica Runions. Something he would be arrested for the next day. I feel like it's just important for you to know that he pissed his pants. Anyways, Jessup was in jail because in the summer of 2018, he also set a big old house on fire. Yeah, it's pretty serious. It's a big one. As you can see from these images, Jessup had a change in diet. And on the 19th of September 2018, Jessup was found dead in his cell. It's understood that he took his own life. This was quite a blow to the prosecution, that was mounting up for the trial, and there would be a number of delays. Kylr's attorney tried to get him ruled incompetent to stand trial. He was ultimately ruled competent, and these were findings the defense objected to. And in April 2021, the trial began. The defense alleged that Jessup Carter, not Kylr, was actually the one responsible for both Kara Kopetsky's death and Jessica Runions' death, as he had a few hours unaccounted for at the time Jessica went missing. Now, of course, Jessup being dead makes this a hell of a lot easier. The defense actually tried to point the finger at a few people. Jessup also left a coded note in his cell when he died. Something the defense wanted to bring in as evidence, hoping that it would magically say he had killed Jessica and Cara. The judge wouldn't allow it because it was coded. Apparently there was 11 different meanings for what it said. They also took aim at what they called a mismanaged investigation, and that no actual physical evidence pointed to Kylr as the culprit.
None of them are supported by physical evidence. There's not one hair, one drop of blood, or one fingerprint in this case connecting Kylr to either of these homicides.
During the trial, nearly all the witnesses came forward telling of Kylr's various confessions. These were all well used by the prosecution, as was the secret recording made a decade previous.
After he killed Jessica, he went back to this spot, his spot. You dumped Jessica's body in the same woods that he said he threw Cara all those years before.
And Kylr's jealousy, possessiveness, if I can't have you, then nobody can type head. Kylr Yust himself also took the stand.
So you want the jury to believe that as you sit here right now, that the man that is dead is the one that's responsible for this, Kylr?
I think that's why he killed himself.
It's really convenient, isn't it, that he killed himself?
I don't think anything about the situation is convenient.
Well, it's convenient for you because you get to sit up here and say, my brother did it, and your brother's not here to speak for himself, right?
I think he killed himself because I said I wasn't guilty.
Sure. And when you found out, actually, that Jessup had killed himself, your response was, I don't fucking care, right?
I did not say those exact words, but I think I did say that he deserved a lot worse than to be able to take the easy way out.
Sure. And you know what's interesting about this, too, is not only is this the first time that we're hearing about Jessup, quote-unquote, being with you on 5/4/2007, but you were interviewed so many times over the years, weren't you?
I was.
And you wait until this very moment to tell your version of the truth.
No, I told Miss Hastings years ago.
I understand that. And you know what's interesting about it?
In fact, that's why she's doing my case for free now, because she believes in my defense.
How thoughtful of her. This has been so hard for you, hasn't it, Kylr?
It has been.
You were the target of this investigation for, quite frankly, almost 14 years, right?
Yes.
People were putting signs outside of your apartment complex saying, we know what you did, right?
Yes.
And testified about how you were acting on the night that you were pulled over. You remember his testimony?
I do, ma'am.
And you have peed yourself. That wasn't me making that up, Kylr.
You
that
reiterated it several times with several different witnesses.
I mean,
jury remembers.
Well, they should, because you peed your pants, because you were scared about getting pulled over. You didn't get burned until you went and literally doused Jessica's car in gasoline, and that gasoline flashed in your face, right?
No.
And that gasoline flashed in your face, and it burned your face, it burned your hair, and it burned your hands, didn't it?
The burn barrel, yes.
Right, and you actually tell the jury that it hurt.
It did hurt.
You know what else would hurt? To have the life strangled out of you, right?
I believe that is true, yes.
So were you asking for some kind of empathy because you burned yourself when you were torching Jessica's car?
No.
So you would rather sit in jail and be charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree than to tell law enforcement that your brother allegedly was the one that did this?
I knew that I was getting blamed, and I knew that I'd have my chance to speak my piece right here on the stand, and that's
So
what I did.
You wait until a criminal trial, until a jury is literally sitting here deciding your fate to tell your truth.
I mean, this is the only chance I have, right?
When it went to the jury, they deliberated on it for about 2 days before returning their verdict. They found Kylr Yust guilty of voluntary manslaughter in the death of Kara Kopetsky and guilty of second-degree murder in the death of Jessica Runions. On the 16th of April 2021, the jury recommended a sentence of life in prison on the murder conviction and a sentence of 15 years for the manslaughter charge. He should be eligible for parole.
Juror number 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 2, is this your verdict? Juror number 3, is this your verdict? Juror number 4, is this your verdict? Juror number 5, is this your verdict? Juror number 6, is this your verdict? Juror number 7, is this your verdict? Juror number 8, is this your verdict? Juror number 9, is this your verdict? Juror number 10, is this your verdict?
And we're just thankful. We're thankful to be where we are today, because there were days where we didn't know if our girls would ever be found. And we're just so thankful that they were found, and we have them back now.
And after almost a decade and a half, the case of Kylr Yust comes to a close. Now, the actual sentencing won't be until June, but I mean, I'd say it's very likely that the judge will take the jury's recommendation from the menu. So that's that, all about Kylr Yust, and what a busy little bee he's been. Quite, as I like to say, real piece of shit. I mean, his name he sounds like a Star Wars character, and not a very good one. It makes sense though, because his head is certainly in another galaxy. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Here, go on, sure, I'll see you as always real soon in the next video, and until then, please look after yourself. Thanks again, Mike out.